keep forgetting you guys aren't black.
It's me, your boy.
I'm literally Chad Incorporated.
What are you watching?
Children's programming.
Don't trust these thoughts.
It's really disappointing when you can't find the right cables you need, isn't it, Nick Paradies?
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It's a bummer.
I'll tell you what else is a bummer. We have some very troubling developments in the world of film.
What's the troubling development? I wasn't aware of this.
The FYE in Newburgh is closed.
They've finally closed.
They finally closed up shop.
Wow.
Where else am I going to buy $2 DVDs of Adam Sandler films?
I mean, it's something that was probably expected for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised they made it through this whole pandemic thing.
I'm surprised they made it past like the initial recession a few years ago. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I know
the Middletown one closed and they stayed open. I don't know how that happened.
Once the Middletown FYE kind of went belly up, I think they merged a lot of the stock with that store.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's disappointing. There's not really any other place now that you can buy used media, unfortunately, other than your good friend Amazon. But that's no fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, that's another nail in the coffin for the Newburgh Mall.
A titan of industry gone. You know, I was shocked. You were saying it was inevitable. I mean, that the Middletown one closed, the Kingston one closed, the Poughkeepsie one closed.
You were trying to convince me that they were opening one at the Garden State Plaza.
I was told that by Bryce.
Yeah,
Bryce has been to that mall recently. I haven't been there in a while, so I don't know. But that's what I've been told, is that they're opening one. And apparently they are opening one, like, for sure, somewhere on Long Island.
I know in Albany they reopened 2 of them.
So
that was what I was looking up.
Yeah, so I guess it's like, I don't know, man. I guess it's popping off in like certain places, but
I mean, it's kind of like how Family Video is, Family Video in the Midwest.
Right.
They're like a video rental company, but they also sell physical media.
Mm-hmm.
They're still kind of successful in the Midwest, for at least the last time I checked, because there's still some spots out in the Midwest and then in the West Coast where there's not a lot of good service.
Mm-hmm.
So physical media is still sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was the thing with a lot of the last blockbusters before the last one actually became a thing. A lot of Alaska stores were still around because of how like up in the boonies it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe that's the future of $2 DVD sales. I'm gonna have to go to like Tupper Lake, way upstate, to go get them. Yeah,
I mean, you could still find them; they're around, but it's just like it's sad to see that there's not a dedicated store anymore that'll do it for you. So that's unfortunate. That's sad news.
I was really disappointed, especially because I was in serious need of a shirt that I could turn into a sleeveless shirt yesterday, because it's just getting too hot for sleeves out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went over to buy one of those Japanese Riot Society Japanese Creature from the Black Lagoon shirts that they had before.
Yes.
The whole thing's boarded up and closed.
We didn't even get a going out of business sale. It just up and went.
They just up and I found it out actually while I was getting my tattoo also. My friend Emmett, who does my tattoos, he's talking to me. He's like, I got bad news for you, man. The FYE's closed. I was like, really?
Yeah.
No way. And he's
no
like,
80% off sale or nothing?
I went over and he's like, yeah, I went over with a friend of mine and it was closed. And I was like, I have to see this for myself.
Yeah.
And I was driving over. I'm like, it can't be closed. And then I drove up and it was closed.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did this happen?
Now that begs the question, is there ever a reason for you to go to the Newburgh Mall ever again now?
No, there is not.
I find zero reason that I will ever step foot in there again.
I mean, somehow there's a Sears still hanging on and an Office Depot still hanging on. And an Olympia Sports. That's important.
No, they went out of business too.
They did?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh.
At least I know the one in New Paltz went out of business, so I imagine the Newburgh one is also out of business. I think now, actually, that I think of it, it is out of business. So that means the only real reason to go to the Newburgh Mall now is there's a GameStop, there's a discount shoe store, and there's a Jimmy Jazz.
Right.
And there's a Bath and Body Works for the scent favored people out there.
Those types
who want to get their body smelling like a fresh, summer breeze.
Summer breeze.
But yeah, it's a story of one of the declining malls of America. That's one I don't think is gonna succeed too much.
No, I mean, it's pretty much kaputs after this.
Yeah,
I mean,
unfortunately.
when one of your anchor stores is the Halloween store, I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I heard they were building like some sort of a fitness place up by where Bonton used to be.
I don't know how they're gonna do that though, because right now it's like Jennifer Furniture or something like that. Which, by the way, when I went in there yesterday, I looked at the label way too fast, and for some reason I thought it said free furniture, and I was like, "Wow, it's really come to this."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for anybody who doesn't live in the area, obviously, you know, the Newburgh Mall is a staple of this area that we live in.
Imagine the shittiest mall in your area, and the Newburgh Mall is worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised it stayed open this long. The rent must be really cheap.
It must be. I mean, I can't imagine they're charging an arm and a leg for that prime real estate.
I know maybe someplace they were saying like they were asking people to stay. I think actually
the Galleria was doing that at one point.
This is where it was. It was at the Stamford Mall, where the Lids used to be in Stamford.
They begged Lids to stay.
They basically told them, we're going to give you the rent for free because we need the business, you know? So that's why the Stamford Lids like refused to die. I remember Rob was telling me that a bunch of times. Like they just refused to let us leave. So, but I think it finally died.
I was at a mall recently where the Lids had actually closed up and left. I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was Warwick, Rhode Island.
Warwick, Rhode Island?
Yeah, I was out in Rhode Island for a couple days, and the Lids there had completely closed. And I was very bummed because I was looking to get some exclusive New England area Red Sox fitteds.
Yeah.
But no cigar, unfortunately.
It's not what you want.
It's not what you want, especially if you're a fan of mall commerce like we are.
Yeah.
But you know, everything we love is dying. Classic American cinema, balls.
Yes.
You know,
like I'm thinking
rock
like
music.
I was a little worried like at some point, like, will the media that I love stop being released? But then at the same time, like most of the movies I love are like pre-2010.
Right.
So there's ample copies of everything you'll ever need.
Right. I mean, like,
the real struggle is going to happen when
something great comes out like in 10 years and there's no release of it.
And
when
like
Clerks 3 finally drops and there's no DVD.
They're starting production next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith cast us as extras.
Yeah,
you want to.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Like
what would our names be?
Jay and Silly Bill.
Ray and Silly Rob.
I don't know.
It's Jay and Silly Bob.
It's Jay and Silly Bill.
Do you remember the cartoon?
Yes.
Look, it's Jay and Silly Bob. That's Silent Bob.
Yes. I've been wanting to talk about it because like I'm getting to the point now where I'm done like not like being silent about the whole issue.
What with Tucker and all that?
Yeah, the thing that's happening, like obviously for those who have listened in the past to our exploits about the ill-fated RST documentary.
Yes.
The gentleman who was going to open the store,
he still hits me up on occasion.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Usually to laugh at something I say on Snapchat, but, you know.
I got to the point where I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I think he's a nice enough guy, but I don't really support the level he's going to.
I think he's I think he's a good man, but he's
a little messed up in the head right now.
There's a little bit of that, and there's also a little bit of trying too hard, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, I get that you might have been screwed over by some people, and he's explained it to me, and I understand where he's coming from, but you're getting to the point where you're harassing people at that point.
Right. And
the problem is
especially with like the social media posturing, I feel like a lot of that is just being that guy.
Yeah.
You know? And
I mean, maybe it's just because we don't want to be that guy, you know? And what's happening now is that, like, obviously this happened early on where I stopped getting any sort of, you know, response from anybody in that world. You know, people started kind of ghosting me a little bit. And, you know, it does teach you a lesson. Like, you got to be careful.
You know what? I'm calling you out, motherfuckers. If you're in the Kevin Smith fan world and you ghosted this man just because of his documentary association with one Tucker Brennan, you're a pussy. And I'm not afraid to say it.
Oh, God.
Damn it. Somebody has to.
He's a provocateur.
I'm not going to grow a nutsack.
I'm not going to go that far.
Grow a pair and put them together.
Oh, boy. I'm not going to go that far. They're, like I said, they're nice people. I think that there's a misunderstanding among that group about me.
There definitely is. And that's the kind of thing we got to iron out is like, like in all seriousness, like Tucker, like I said, he's a good guy. He's trying too hard, bro. He kind of went off the rails a little bit. I'm not going to get into like what specifically has happened between him and Raj, because I don't think it's our place to speak on that.
That's his legal
right
mumbo jumbo.
But-
He can deal with that himself. I have no personal issue with any of these people I've interviewed, and we're not.
The bottom line is, as I've said on this show before, we are just filmmakers. We were just documenting the world that was in existence there. We were just documenting what was happening. We happened to get caught in the crossfire. We're civilian casualties, if you will.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed that we got that far along where everybody was starting to associate us with him.
I'm not embarrassed that happened. Because you can't be. It's not our fault that happened. You know what I mean? Like it's not anyone's fault that it happened. It was just happenstance, and people got the wrong impression.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that people did get the wrong impression, but it's just something that you have to live with. And the truth will set us free. You know, time.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to think
time marches forward, and we are vindicated in the eyes of other people. So.
Yeah, I just hope one day, you know, I'll be able to make my peace with that, because I don't want to upset anybody in that world, because I know it's people tend to get a little too pushy with their involvement with that group, because it's such a tight knit and personal group.
The Kevin Smith fan world be a fickle mistress.
It does. It does. So, you know, I just want to go out there and say, you know, we had nothing to do with him. We only met him once in person, correct?
Twice. We did 2 interviews of him in person.
Did we?
I think so. Pretty sure.
I don't believe we did. I think it was just the one time we went to the video store.
Okay, yeah. You're right.
We did technically interview him at one point for the show.
Yes.
But it turned out to be a colossal dumpster fire.
Right.
Of multiple hours of chatting.
I'm gonna need some more jerkins pretty soon.
Yeah.
This thing is peeling up.
You got a new tat?
I did. So check this out. Big shout out Emmett Anderson at Two Tone Tattoos, at Emmett Anderson on Instagram. He did this for me. It's my devil pinup babe.
Still waiting to get him on the show.
Yeah. I did talk to him about that. He's super down to have us go in and
do a live
shoot a video while I'm getting inked. So
that'd be nice. Or if I get inked, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
We'll see.
I have a couple of plans for like future tattoos. Like I told him my next one, since it's my 13th, I want to do something that's kind of like Lucky Charm related, but like with a twist. So I'm thinking like a penny, but with a zombie Abraham Lincoln on it.
Okay. I've seen that before.
And then I like maybe a few other ones. Like I want a Medusa piece. I want like a snake around an apple, like kind of a Garden of Eden.
Are you ultimately going to have tats all over your body by the time you're dead?
I am ultimately going to look like Travis Barker one day. I plan on having full sleeves. I plan on having pretty much my whole torso and back done. I'll probably get most of my legs done. I'll probably get most of my neck done at some point.
Please don't get a face tattoo. Please don't.
I will inevitably have at least one face tattoo.
I want to be here to comfort you in your time of troubling thoughts of trying to get a tattoo on your face. I don't think it's the right idea.
I have always wanted, well, I haven't always wanted a face tattoo, but I know I will eventually have one.
I just don't think it's a great idea. I don't.
What's wrong with it?
I just think it's going to ruin the beautiful baby face you have.
But
you don't want to be out here looking like Mike Tyson. Not that Mike Tyson's a bad looking dude. It works for him.
Here's the thing.
I don't think it works for you.
Here's the thing. If I had a face tattoo, I would definitely not have like a big one.
Yeah.
Like it would be like the cross under the eye or something like that.
A teardrop.
Not a teardrop. No, none of that.
Just no words or anything. Just try to keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the Post Malone always tired.
Yeah.
But here, the thing about that is like, if you own it, man, I feel like I look at Post Malone's face and I don't even notice it because it's so him. You know what I mean? I look at Lil Wayne's face and it's the same way.
I just feel like you don't associate them other than having their face tattoo.
I mean, like, but you know what I mean? Like, if Lil Wayne lost all his face tattoos, I would still look at him and see Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Because it blends in. He just owns it. Or like Travis Barker's the same way. I'll probably, the one thing I won't do, I don't think, is I probably won't have my head tattooed a whole lot.
Well, you're never going to go bald like that, I don't imagine.
No,
so.
I might, I've always wanted like one on like the side of my head. Like, because I could shave the sides and like, I'll never have anything up here. or I'll probably also like leave my buttocks non-tattooed.
Just get your name tattooed on it, like Steve-O.
Maybe. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of weird to go to your friend who's your tattoo artist and be like, "Hey, dude, I want you to tattoo my ass."
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work. I feel like.
I gotcha. I mean, it is what it is. It's your thing. It's your body. Obviously,
I love tattoos.
I'm not one to judge.
I love tattoos. Once I found out they didn't hurt, it was over.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, because when I got my first one was the Jesus piece, and my parents said that I could get it as long as I picked out a design and still wanted it after a year. They would let me get a tattoo because I was still in high school when I got this.
And they would have to give you permission, or was it by the time you were 18?
Well, I was 18 at the time. I had just turned 18.
They just wanted you to think about it.
Present, but they wanted me to think about it. They said, you have two choices. You can get it while you're still in school and we'll pay for it, but you have to pick the design and live with it for a year, or you can wait till you have your own money and you're out of school.
Yeah.
And I chose option A. I thought about it for a whole year and I still wanted the Jesus piece. And then once I got it, before I got any, I was like, I want all of my tattoos to have meaning. I used to draw tattoos in my math book instead of doing math in class. And I was like, I want to have this and this and this, and they're all going to mean this, this, and this. And then after I got it, I was like, that did not hurt. Because you expect it to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like people tell you it hurts.
Like you telling me it's the equivalent to a beast thing is a little off-putting, but like, I don't know.
It's not bad, but like you don't honestly after 10 minutes, because your adrenaline goes up because you're excited to get it and because like your body takes over to numb the pain because it's like a natural pain response. You don't even notice
Do they numb the area too, or are they?
No.
It's just, you have to deal with it.
You have to deal with it.
And I imagine certain parts of the body are much worse than others.
Any parts where it's close to bone or where you have a lot of nerve endings, like I'm going to be doing my ribs soon. Those are pretty bad. Excuse me. Those are pretty bad. I have one like my tiger, like right here towards the sternum bone. It really started to hurt, and I have one on my back of two praying angels. It's the Jesus Christ Superstar logo. Yeah, and like
as you showed last week.
Yeah, and like right on the spine, where it like touches the vertebrae, that started to get painful.
Yeah.
But the ones I expected to really hurt didn't hurt that much, honestly. Like I expected this one to be really bad because it gets close to the armpit and that's a really rough spot.
Yeah.
But this like
because that's like that much space in between your bone.
Right. But this didn't hurt, and also a lot of nerve endings there. That's a lot of sensitive skin too. But this didn't hurt that much, and I also expected my neck tattoo to hurt, and I barely even noticed it was there. So it was weird too because like you could hear it because it was right next to my ear, right behind my ear. It was gnarly. Well, it wasn't concerning because like I said, it didn't hurt, but it was just very odd. You know what I mean? It's something that I had never heard before and probably never will hear again, at least until I do the other side. So. But I love tattoos. And once I got my first one and I was like, these don't hurt, I didn't care about meaning anymore. I was like, if it looks bitchin', throw it on.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm concerned about is the pain because I don't want it to, I mean, obviously he's got a steady hands. It's not like he's going to, do the jackass bit where he's going around.
The thing is, it's different for everybody too. I mean, he and I have talked about it before. Like he's seen people, the toughest guys you would imagine, and they have a hard time with it. Whereas some people just have naturally higher pain tolerance. It's part of like just the differences in people's bodies. So you just don't know until you get the first one what it's going to be like for you.
Definitely.
And then once you do get the first one, you can kind of judge based on how that goes, how all your other ones are going to go. So. I definitely recommend it. If you want to get tattooed, kids, go to a place with a clean shop and a good work history where you can see the work of the artist
and
online.
Get a good relationship with them beforehand. Try to build a relationship.
Definitely. Well, I was really lucky in the fact that I had a friend from my childhood who became a tattoo artist.
Oh, you
know
guys
what
have
I
been friends forever.
We knew each other back from the 4-H days.
So
like,
he's
way
done
back when.
your whole body pretty much, right?
The only ones he hasn't done is my Jesus piece, because that was done by Dave Gear at M City. That was Emmett wasn't an artist at the time. We were still in high school.
That was your first tattoo?
That was my first one. And he also did not do this. Sal at M City did this one because this was just kind of a spur of the moment decision. I went in.
That's like your signature.
Yeah, De Colores.
Yeah.
Everybody knows me as that. So.
That's the one I always associate you with. Is that one.
But so those are the only two he didn't do. He's done all of my other ones.
Would you like to argue a little bit?
Sure.
So Cleveland Indians are no more.
They are not no more. Yeah.
They are not no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are now the Cleveland Guardians.
Terrible name.
I mean, I agree.
Horrible name.
But I think it was in good taste.
Here's the thing. It was the right thing to do.
Yes, it was.
But that said, I am not going to give somebody credit for doing the right thing if they do it for the wrong reasons.
I think you have to separate the Indians and the Redskins, because as you've said many times before, the the Washington football team is owned by a man named Daniel Schneider.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a few reasons I feel like you have to separate them. One is that. The second one is that we can all agree that Redskins is way more offensive than Indians.
Yes.
I mean, Redskins is a dictionary-defined racial slur that when you really think about it, it's amazing that we even say it at all.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't say like the N-word in a team name. You know what I mean? You know, but like.
Well, that you also have to look at that from a racial standpoint. Like, obviously, I've said in the past that I believe that Native Americans are the most underappreciated, minority in the country.
They are the most oppressed group in society.
And that's why us saying that word is not as big of a deal.
Well, you know why? Like, you know how... Here's the thing. Like, this is how bad the American Indians have it. When was the last time you saw just a family of Indians just hanging out?
Also, did you realize that Native Americans were not classified as American citizens until 1923?
Yeah.
That's less than 100 years ago that Native Americans
when
were not considered
here
American.
first.
Yeah.
Like,
that's like,
if anybody has a right to natural born citizenship, it's them.
That's like that's like black people not being considered 2/3 of a human. It's like, it's archaic.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So,
and that ended in 1865.
Mm-hmm.
The American Indians, which, by the way, can we talk about? Well, I mean, we can't talk about it because I just think it's very interesting how some people like to be called Native Americans, some people like to be called American Indians. I find that interesting.
Well, I think it's just a personal preference.
Yeah.
And, some people are offended by things and some people are not.
The point is that I was trying to get to earlier is like both names are in bad taste, but the Washington Redskins is like explicitly offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Indians, you probably wouldn't you wouldn't have a team called like the San Francisco Chinks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you also wouldn't have a team called the San Francisco Chinese people. But it's
San Francisco Chinamen, or it's like it's really.
But it's like it's still in bad taste, but it's in less of a bad taste. Does that make sense?
So you're saying the Chinese man is less offensive than
calling the team the Chinese is like less bad than calling, does that make sense?
It's like kind of how the Irish.
It's still bad, but it's there's two levels of it. There's one where it's an actual like real racial slur, and the other one is just the name for a group of people.
At least to me, I might be wrong, but the Braves, the Blackhawks, teams like that are less offensive, but I understand where people might be.
I understand that too.
It.
Like, especially like the Braves is just like a term for a warrior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the Chiefs is a term for a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blackhawks is a specific tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different. It's like Florida State Seminoles. Cleveland, the point is, I get changing the name. It was the right thing to do.
100%.
But It was done for all the wrong reasons, in my opinion.
All right. Well, it happened.
It was done explicitly for money.
I mean, Chief Wahoo has made, well, you could say that they've been making a lot of money since they determined that they were going to get rid of the logo.
Mm-hmm.
But they did promise that they would change the logo by last year.
Right.
And they would, or I think it was like right after the World Series because they were on a bigger stage at that point in 2016. But they also said we will find a new name by 2022, and that's what they're doing. So, you know, and then meanwhile, the Washington football team is out here still not choosing a name.
But here's the thing. I was going to bring this up to you. I actually think that's the better decision in this situation.
Possibly.
Just don't go with a rebrand. What was the rush to have it done by 2022?
I guess, you know, societally, they wanted to do the right thing and make sure they fixed it by a certain point.
But you could have just done what Washington did and be like, we're not going to be anything. We're going to wait and pick a new name when the time is right. We're going to let the new name come to us. I'm not saying they shouldn't have changed the name away from Cleveland Indians, but I'm saying what was the rush to change it to something so quick? Because especially something that, because here's the way I think about this. It's so hard to rebrand a business. No matter what you do, you're going to piss off. They were doomed no matter what they did. No matter what they picked, they were going to piss off half their constituents because half of their constituents wanted to keep the name Cleveland Indians. So you're only pleasing max 50% of your audience. Out of that 50%, you're going to piss off everybody who is dead set on having a different name. So how do you think Cleveland fans that really wanted them to be the Spiders are feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but at the same time, I think it's a way to put it to rest because the longer they were the Cleveland baseball team, I feel like the longer there would be attention on it, and the attention of the topic in itself is not a good one.
But that actually might make them more money than just changing the name.
But I don't look at it.
Who outside of Cleveland is excited about this?
Not really anybody.
Who in Cleveland is excited about this? Maybe max like 25% of their fans. I mean, I think it was a bad business decision. I really do.
Also a terrible decision not to let Charlie Sheen read that opening little video they did.
Oh my God. Why was it Tom Hanks?
I know.
Why was it Tom Hanks?
I know they were arguing about this on the K show the other day. So
why was it him? Like, what connection does he have to Cleveland? Why wasn't it like Machine Gun Kelly or something?
I mean, that might be a little out there because I don't think most older people in Cleveland know who Machine Gun Kelly even is.
But if you want to capture the young audience, which baseball clearly does, Machine Gun Kelly, he's a known Indians fan.
Yeah,
I guess they're not the Indians
or a known Guardians fan.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be at least a good 5 years where people are going to be that guy and say, "Oh, still
Cleveland Indians,
still the Indians," like they do with the Redskins.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. I said to Bryce the other day, like, I'm going to have to go out and buy up all the Cleveland Indians merchandise I can because it's going to be rare
I
soon.
think they're starting to phase out Chief Wahoo, so you might want to do that. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I don't want to, offend anybody. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm being a sheep.
No,
I just,
I totally get it. You're not one to ruffle feathers, as we were just discussing with the Tucker incident.
Yes.
So I completely understand you not wanting to walk around with a giant smiling Indian chief on your hat.
I bought it once and then I'm like, I have to return this. I don't like this. It's just, granted, it is one of the best sports logos ever just because it's
incredibly well designed.
But at the same time, it is a red-skinned Native American.
Right.
Which is in itself a racial, And I'm sad to see it go, but that the tomahawk chop at Braves games is going to have to go at some point.
They can't stop things like that. They might as well not try.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but it's true. I know the woke people don't want to hear that, but it's true. They can't. You can't stop a crowd of 50,000 people from all getting together and going, "Hua, wah,
Yeah,
whatever
it's like
the fuck it is they do. Like,
yeah, but I know they play it on the PA system, so maybe
they might stop doing that. But what are you gonna do? Kick everybody out of the stadium and say you can't come back? They're just not gonna do it.
There's gonna be those people who are gonna come to Guardians games dressed as Native Americans because they, that's what they do. But
I'm gonna make a bold prediction here on the show: the name Guardians will be gone in 5 years. It's not popular enough to
that logo is horrible.
It's awful.
It's like something you would make. It's like one of those generic logos you would make in like MS Paint.
It's horrible. Why didn't they just keep the block C?
I mean, it's still going to stay. It's going to be one of their alternates, but
no, it's like curved now.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the script Guardians. It just looks like the regular Cleveland logo.
All of it looks like shit.
The logo.
I saw so much shilling for this.
Yeah.
In the Twitter sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So many sports that I respect. They're like, I can't wait to buy my kids this Guardians gear. Shut the fuck up. It's ugly as fuck and you know it. Fucking liar.
Yeah.
You can wait to buy your kids this shit. You should buy them the Block C. He's like, I was waiting because I didn't want to get my kids any Indian stuff. None of their uniforms say Indians
nobody was saying
they all
that.
say Cleveland.
Nobody was ever saying that.
Nobody was saying that.
No.
Stop capping. Stop capping.
So I was trying to come up with a list
of what,
but I could not come up with one.
Let's build
a list.
I've got a top 5 list for you. Top 5 Cleveland baseball team names that would have been better than Guardians.
The Spiders is what everybody wanted.
Yep.
Who is this like marketing company that they hired that said the Guardians was a great name?
Somebody on the K show I heard call it, and they said, it's great. It sounds like a Marvel movie, so it sounds very with the times.
That's not a good thing.
That's not a good. That means it's going to be out of date in 10 years. It's the Washington Wizards still sounds like a joke 20 years later.
It is a joke.
Like this
Bullets was a great name.
The Bullets, yeah,
it's a wonderful name.
But this is
it's almost as bad as making the New Orleans Jazz the Utah Jazz.
That's my bold call. Within 5 years, Spiders is going to be the name.
I mean, we'll see. Are they going to rebrand? I mean,
what I'm going to do? I'm going to look for a Cleveland Spiders hat now, and I'm going to buy it and wear it around.
Do they still make that sort of a thing? I mean, they haven't been around in 150 years, so.
Cleveland Spiders iron-on patch.
Do it.
Yeah, I might have to.
I mean, I'm sure we could get our Connect to make one for you.
This would be way better.
I mean, you could technically just get an Indians hat and do that. Or sorry, a Guardians hat and do that.
They're still the Indians until the end of the year.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah. I do have a list for today. We've discussed this off the air a little bit before doing this, and I was hoping to have a guest on to do it with, but since it's you and since it's something that we've discussed many times amongst ourselves, I think it's time to just let it go.
Does it involve CVT transmissions?
Top 5 worst transmission designs? No. Don't do it. Angela's Honda HRV is not on the list.
Okay.
Dixon.
Who are you taking out?
Top 5 movies that aren't actually underrated.
Yes.
Meaning movies that every film bro said, oh my god, it's so underrated, man. You gotta check it out.
I like this.
But it's not underrated. It's because everybody's seen it because of those bros.
Number 1, The Prestige.
No, I did not even think about The Prestige. It's not on the list.
Okay. Is there any...
Number 1 is glaringly obvious. The other 4 you might need to think about a little bit.
Do they think that Reservoir Dogs is underrated? Am I in the right realm?
I thought about Reservoir Dogs, but I don't think enough people consider it one of those underrated. It's definitely a bro movie. If we were doing top 5 bro movies, Reservoir Dogs is probably like number 1 or 2. But I just don't think enough people call it an underrated classic. I feel like Tarantino...
So is there any Tarantino or Christopher Nolan on this list?
There are no Tarantino or Nolan.
Okay, this is going to be a tough one.
I did think about one Tarantino film in particular. I thought about Jackie Brown. And I did think about Memento, but I decided against them for similar
I just bought
reasons.
Jackie Brown, so that was
yeah.
I completed my Tarantino set.
Yeah.
I found it at a used store for $5.
Nice.
So okay, let me think for a second. So
Yeah.
top 5 is
Top 5
is the Iron Giant in there?
The Iron Giant is number 2. What a pull by Matt Dixon.
Yes, I assume. I've always insisted that's number 1.
The Iron Giant, the most underrated animated movie of all time. Great movie. Don't get me wrong. Great movie.
That's debatable.
But where's Bryce when you need him? Great movie, but it's not underrated. Everyone's seen it. Everyone loves it. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
It's not under. What is there to underrate? Everyone loves it.
I don't.
Except you.
My opinion is the only one that matters. Okay.
Yes.
Do I own any of the movies on your list?
Probably.
Can I get? Because I'm drawing a little bit of a blank here. One is blatantly obvious.
Number 1 is blatantly obvious. Like, I'm surprised you didn't just blurt it out. When I said the list, I thought it was going to be the first thing out of your mouth.
Okay. Was it made in the last 10 years?
No. Older. Slightly older. Very slight.
Is Grand Budapest Hotel on the list?
I will tell you the oldest movie on the list is from 1999.
Fight Club?
Yes. Fight Club is number 1.
Okay. I wholly agree with this list.
Film
bros love Fight Club.
Film bros love Fight Club, and unlike Pulp Fiction and stuff like that, they love to say Fight Club is so underrated.
It's not.
Fight Club is not underrated. If anything, it's overrated because of the amount of pressure people put on it.
This should be like top 5 film bro movies minus Iron Giant, of course. But I mean, maybe film bros like Iron Giant.
The other 3 are definitely not film bro movies, like classic, like Boondock Saints type of thing. But they're movies that all the bros think are like undiscovered classics, but are really not.
I think The Prestige is really. I've heard that one before from a lot of Christopher Nolan stans.
I don't think Nolan. I think Nolan is too popular to be on this type of a list.
Is there any Danny Boyle on the list?
There is not.
Okay.
There's Danny Boyle, a Jace. One of his disciples is on the list.
Is M. Night Shyamalan on the list?
M. Night Shyamalan is not on the list. He's another one that I think is just too popular, and he also doesn't have enough good movies that are like undiscovered. Like he has like 2 good movies. He has 2 great movies, Split and Unbreakable, and then several good movies, or Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, and then several good movies like Split and Signs, and none of them are underrated.
Yeah,
and none of them are particularly bro-y either.
Is there any Martin Scorsese movies on this list?
I thought about it.
Yeah,
but
I think that would make a great film bro movie.
It's a great bro movie, but it's not underrated.
Okay.
It's not called underrated, I should say.
We're referring to The Departed.
Yeah, The Departed.
Movie.
I thought about it. I also thought about Gangs of New York.
I've never heard anybody talk about Gangs of New York.
But same kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
There's Scorsese, a Jace.
Scorsese, a Jace.
The number 3 film on the list is clearly inspired by old Scorsese movies. It's like a modern take on.
Are the Safdie brothers on the list?
The Safdie brothers are on the list.
Is Uncut Gems on the list?
I thought about Uncut Gems, but it did not make.
So
the
Good
list.
Time is on the list.
Good Time is number 3.
Okay, that's a little high.
Good Time is number 3.
I think that's 5 material because not a lot of people like have heard of Good Time, but I guess the film bros.
I had so many bros during my 1 semester in film school come up to me and be like, "Have you seen Good Time?"
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen Good Time. I thought
it's
it was awesome.
Movie, but that doesn't mean you have to. I hate that they take away movies that are actually good. They take it away from us.
So you got 1, 2, 3, and then we need 4 and 5.
Okay. Can I have...
One came out in the 2010s and one came out in the 1990s.
So there was a movie in 1999?
Yes.
Is it American Beauty?
American Beauty is number 5.
Okay. I like it. The movie I will never watch again because we don't support Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
So thinking about how people have loved that movie now, it makes me feel icky.
Because the plot of the movie is him crushing on a 17-year-old.
It's really creepy.
Yeah.
And I will never watch it again. That's why I gave away my copy.
That's why I bumped it off of my favorite 4 movies on Letterboxd in
Yeah.
favor of Bull Durham, the much less cringy option that also has fun baseball innuendos in it.
We like it.
Yeah.
So we're missing number 4.
We're missing number 4.
Okay.
It came out in the 2010s. Danny Boyle a Jace.
Danny Boyle a Jace.
Yeah.
It's not. All right, so it's not Christopher Nolan. Can I get an exact year?
I feel like it would give it away.
All right, so let me go year by year. 2011, nothing I can think of. 2012. Is The Artist on that level?
The Artist, I did not even consider it.
Okay. I'm just trying to think what the film bros love.
I don't know any film bros that love The Artist except Ralph the movie maker.
Is one of Ralph's favorite films on this list?
He does love this movie.
Is it a movie I love?
And he once called it an underrated gem, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it either Nocturnal Animals, Nightcrawler, or that other movie that you people like?
You people?
The Lobster, or...
It is not. I considered Nocturnal Animals.
Oh, is it Swiss Army Man?
I thought about Swiss Army Man.
Am I
but
getting
it did
close?
not make the list.
Am I getting close?
You're in the same general year range.
Okay, so we're thinking Mad Max Fury Road.
I thought about Mad Max Fury Road, but it did not make the list.
Am I getting closer year-wise?
You are getting closer. The reason I really thought about Mad Max, and I had it in the top 5 for a long time, but there's just too many of the film bros that don't like women that dragged it down.
Yeah.
Because they don't like it.
That's an unfortunate reality.
It's an unfortunate reality that they don't like, that they are like that, and that they don't like the best action movie ever made because Furiosa is in it.
I immediately have an idea for a list of top 5 most toxic fandoms.
Yes.
We'll have to come up with that one.
Star Wars.
Rick and Morty. Okay, so number 4 around that general time. Is it a 2016 film?
I will say just to speed things along, it's a 2014 film.
2014 film. Ah.
Yes.
That would be Her.
Her is not on the list. 2013 was Her.
2014.
Danny Boyle a Jace.
Danny Boyle a Jace.
It's a science fiction film. You know the bros love
Martian?
some science fiction.
No.
The Martian is not on the list.
Oh, you're referring to... No, Interstellar can't be it.
Nope.
Science fiction.
Yes. Very few characters in this film.
Gravity.
Very few No, not Gravity. Very few characters and settings in this film. It pretty much takes place in one location, and there's only like 4 or 5 characters in it.
Whoever's watching is probably yelling it out right now.
If we had a Twitter feed, people would be saying it on Twitter.
If people actually listened,
yeah,
people would be talking about it. But we hope they listen. You're watching right now.
They do listen.
All right, so a 2014 sci-fi movie where there's not that many characters.
Mm-hmm.
Was it nominated for a lot of Oscars?
It was not. That's the one area where it actually was underrated.
Is Scarlett Johansson in the movie?
Scarlett Johansson is not in the film.
Okay, so it's not Under the Skin.
No. Although I did think about Under the Skin, but I just don't think it's popular enough even with the bros of the world.
It's not Prisoners, because that's not a science fiction movie.
Here's a hot take for you. Under the Skin is not that good. People only like it because they get to see one of the most attractive actresses on earth get naked multiple times.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm looking at you, Ralph.
I'm gonna plead the fifth. I don't remember.
Give it up.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Ex Machina.
Oh yeah, I do own Ex Machina. I wholeheartely agree. One of the most overrated movies. I would bump that up to number 2 territory.
Number 2 over the Iron Giant.
Yes, because I've heard so many film bros talk about Ex Machina. It's not that great. I'm sorry.
So to recap the top 5: number 5, American Beauty; number 4, Ex Machina; number 3, Good Time; number 2, The Iron Giant; and number 1, of course,
Fight Club. Or as they like to do.
Yeah, because we don't talk about it.
Yes. So, all right, that's a solid list. I like that.
Thank you.
Definitely some obscurities there, but Film Bros, they're definitely up there on the top 5 Film Bro movies would be a good one too. That's an easy one.
The Departed,
Pulp Fiction, Inception,
Seven.
The Dark Knight, of course, would be number 1.
Definitely.
So, all right, that's a good list. I like that.
Goodfellas.
Yeah.
That was fun though.
Yeah, we'll come up with some more. I got to do one week.
Game.
I got to do one week.
I'm here for it.
What else is going on in the world?
Let's see, shall we? Let's check up on the news.
Yeah, I haven't been paying much attention to the news lately, and it's been nice. It's been really healthy,
Best retired sports logo. I saw you simping for the Vancouver Grizzlies earlier.
We could talk about that list.
We could.
Let's see. The Grizzlies, I think, are one of the best sports logos that they got rid of, and they need to bring it back immediately because the Memphis Grizzlies have a horrible logo.
Oh, awful.
That's one of the worst in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's basically the Wizards and everybody else, so you kind of have to go off of that.
I mean, like we were talking a little bit about the now Cleveland Guardians earlier, but like one of the reasons I don't think Cleveland fans should be that upset about this name is that there are maybe let's be honest here for a second. There are maybe max 20 good names in all of sports.
Yes.
If we're being straight up honest, Memphis Grizzlies is funny to say. It just
the Utah Jazz,
the
Washington Wizards.
Basketball is full of them. Washington Wizards,
and my personal favorite, the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, Orlando Magic is terrible. Phoenix Suns terrible.
Columbus Blue Jackets,
awful name, awful name. People are saying I saw somebody, as much as I saw people simping for the Guardians name, and I was like, stop capping. I saw one of those Fox News types. He was like, they've officially replaced the Cleveland Indians with the worst name in all of sports.
That's
the worst,
debatable.
most meaningless name in all of sports. It's not even the worst name in the state of Ohio. Columbus Blue Jackets is terrible. Cleveland Browns is terrible.
The Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah. Cincinnati Reds is stupid. It's horrible.
Another little funny tidbit about that is they changed their name to the Red Legs in the 50s because of the Red Scare with communism.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
So it opened up an interesting discussion for me. What are if we're going to narrow it down to the 20 actually good names in sports, what are they?
I mean,
because as much as I love the Red Sox, naming a
name.
team after Red Sox is not very threatening.
It's like an old-fashioned thing.
Yeah. I feel like Detroit Tigers is good.
Yeah, they got a pretty solid
Tigers,
logo. They've had a lot of good logos in the day.
Yeah, a good name. Detroit Tigers, Detroit Tigers and Chicago Cubs, I think, are solid. St. Louis Cardinals is good.
For some reason, people love the Rockies stuff. They're a horrible team, but they have really good branding.
They do have good branding. I don't know if the name is all that great.
I think it's pretty good.
I guess it's fine.
It's pretty narrows it to the general place it is. It's not like it's random.
Yeah, true.
The Anaheim Angels, it's the city of angels. Mm-hmm. The Dodgers makes no sense because the Dodgers they
were literally named after people jumping out of the way of a train.
Yeah, which was a Brooklyn thing.
Yeah. So. LA Lakers. Where is the lake in Los Angeles?
I mean, they used to be the Minneapolis Lakers, which made more sense.
Is Boston Celtics a good name?
I mean, they're known for Irish heritage, right?
But is the Celtics a good name? It's not even pronounced right. It's
supposed to be
logo.
Celtics. It's a great logo.
Detroit Tigers, Chicago Cubs, St. Louis Cardinals. I'm rolling with.
Cardinals have great logo. Despite
Texas Rangers is arguably the best name in all of sports.
It's pretty close, I'd say.
I mean, not only does it just sound cool and badass, but it's literally named after the Texas military.
The Athletics is pretty lazy. I mean, it's a nice, nice team, but lazy concept.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it brings up the argument, what makes a sports logo stand out among, the argument they were making on the show yesterday was some team, the Wizards sounds like your high school football team.
It does, yeah. Whereas baseball is well known, baseball in particular has a lot of names that you don't see anywhere else. Mm-hmm. There's no high school team whose mascot is the Padres.
Yeah. I think the Brewers is a great name. Yeah. That's another one I really love.
Yeah. Baseball in general has great names. That's probably why I think it's really jarring that the Indians picked a bad one.
Mhm.
Like if this was the NBA, nobody would care because
Yeah, they
there's
change
so
the
many-
names like every week.
and there's so many bad NBA names. New Orleans Pelicans. It's
The Charlotte
terrible.
Bobcats were the greatest name of all time. Fight me. I think that's one name that made absolutely zero sense.
When the oldest teams in your league and most successful are a Boston team where the name of the team isn't pronounced correctly,
Yes.
and an LA team that's named after non-existent lakes in the area.
Yeah.
When the most popular team in your sport is named the Knicks, short for Knickerbockers. I don't even know what the fuck that's supposed to be.
The Nets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sports teams, you got to pick a good logo to start, and you really have to have a good name that represents, you know.
Other than Chicago White Sox, I think every sports team name in Chicago is gold.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago Cubs,
Blackhawks
great
is
name.
great. I like that.
Blackhawks, great name. Bulls, great name.
Mhm.
Bears, great name.
I feel like college teams have a better job at making, sports team names.
I don't even know if I would say that, though, because you take the 100 years of history out, Ohio State Buckeyes. What's threatening about a seed?
That's a great drop. Yeah, I guess.
A lot the advantage a lot of college teams name is they don't have to have a separate name from everybody. Like there's Georgia Bulldogs and Mississippi State Bulldogs in the same conference.
Yeah.
There's Auburn Tigers, Missouri Tigers, and Clemson Tigers all in the same area.
Yeah.
So there's not an urge to have like a different name from everybody else.
This just sounds like something I particularly don't care about, to be perfectly honest. It's
What's
just
that?
like I don't think about, like, all the teams I love, they have great sports logos, so I don't think about it too often.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, when you see one that stands out,
Yeah.
they definitely
Well, I'm
stand out.
talking specifically about the names.
Yeah,
Like not so much the logo. Like I think the Red Sox have a fantastic logo.
but not a great name.
I mean, I love the name. Don't get me wrong. I love the
They're your
name.
team.
They're my team. But if they just propped up now as an expansion franchise and they were like, we're going to be the Red Sox, you're like, what the hell?
I think the Seattle Kraken really are a good one.
They nailed it.
That was an excellent. That's probably one of like the top 5 logos I've ever seen.
It's great.
It's wonderful.
Hartford Whalers, best logo of all time.
What were the team called? The Golden Knights?
Vegas Golden Knights.
I don't like that. That makes no sense.
Well, they were going to be the Vegas Black Knights because they were going to be named after the Army Black Knights.
Yeah.
And then the Army said no. So he went with the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
I would have gone with the Silver Knights because Nevada is the Silver State, but whatever.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, when the A's move to Las Vegas, they'll have to come up with a nice little logo there. So
what would I wonder what the best, I feel like Texas Rangers is up there in contention of best name in all of sports. Texas Longhorns. Anyone where
Miami Dolphins, maybe.
I don't know. I feel like it needs to conjure up not just coolness and awesomeness and swagger in your mind, but also like it has to conjure up something that's different from sports but uniquely attached to that area and that is also cool and badass. You know what I mean? Like the Texas Ranger law enforcement agency is cool and badass. The Texas Ranger name of a baseball team sounds cool and badass for a baseball team.
The Minnesota Golden Gophers aren't scaring anybody.
Right, exactly. And the Longhorns are the same way. Texas Longhorn cattle are awesome.
Yeah.
They just look cool.
Mm-hmm.
You see that fucking live mascot charging at you down the field and you're like, holy shit. I don't know. So I feel like those two are definitely in contention, but like there's a lot of like even Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's decent. Or the St. John's Red Storm.
Yeah. Well, they used to be the St. John's Redskins. Now they're the Red Storm.
So I see why this is the case.
Yeah. Syracuse Orange.
They got the little orange guy or the bomber.
Yeah. What else you got? Football. What New England
We haven't talked about much
Patriots?
hockey of the sports teams. They have some decent ones.
They have some good. Chicago Blackhawks is probably in contention. It's not only is it one of the best logos ever, it's one of the best names.
The Islanders. New Jersey Devils, which I think
New Jersey Devils is maybe number one.
Yeah,
debatably. I mean,
you've always said that's one of your favorite logos.
I mean, not only is it just it's a perfectly designed logo, it's a perfect name for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to what I was saying about the Rangers and the Longhorns. It conjures up
It's perfect.
Something that's not hockey related but is equally awesome.
That's why I'm really disappointed that the New Era license fell off with the NHL because the new Fanatics hats just suck.
Well,
they're
hats
horrible.
in general suck now.
We could get into a conversation about how much you hate the new color wave.
Did you see the
upside down logos? Yeah, they're really losing it.
I was trying to think, is there any logo that if they flipped it upside down, it would be basically the same? And I couldn't think of any.
I mean, the Nationals logo would just be
an M.
Yeah.
Yeah, for someplace else.
Yeah.
The Oriole bird is the one I like because it looks like it has a sassy hairdo. Shout out Mina Kimes for noticing that.
Yes.
Let's see. MLB upside down.
The Diamondbacks just looks like a V.
Yeah.
It's like, do the hat companies understand?
The Red Sox one is just a backwards B. Like what's the fun of that?
Yeah. I mean, I can see some of the more popular teams
hilarious.
Like that is pretty hilarious. The Marlins.
They should have worn that during their 1998 tanking season.
The problem I see is that yet again, the hat companies are
Nintendo DS.
The hat companies are deciding that they don't want to be original and they don't want to do what the people want. Okay. What the people want
the regular colors with World Series patches
with gray bottoms. That's what the people want.
Best I can do is upside down logo.
You realize that you're spending all this money promoting these horrible ideas when right now the biggest thing that people want is colored brims and they want World Series patches. That's all the people want.
Yeah.
And they can't give that to you.
Nope.
We get these Hawaiian underbrims. Like here's what the problem they'll do. They'll do one of those things like, okay, we'll have a World Series patch, but the underbrim is like this Hawaiian, like cherry blossom design. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then people are like, okay, that's cool. And then you'll get a gray bottom, but then the top will be like the gigantic logo to the side.
I found the worst offender.
Oh yeah, the inside out hat.
Inside out.
Those are horrible. But I just don't get, why don't you follow what the people want?
Who's sitting there like, because I know how American corporate business works. Like they're focus testing this shit to high hell.
Yeah.
Who's sitting down there in a focus? Like they have to be doing it as a goof, right?
Upside down logo. That's what we need.
That's what we need. Like the focus groups have to be doing this as a joke. Like there's no other explanation that makes any sense. How could you allow this to be a reality?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows how out of touch they are.
Yeah.
And Lids especially.
It's not what you want.
Our good friends at Lids.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing.
Children's programming merch available soon.
You wish. Yeah. I mean, I've thought of would you wear a children's programming fitted?
Of course.
Yes. Got to get that logo out there.
Logo on the side?
Yes.
I've been doing some bad ideas related merch.
Have you talked about your band yet?
We've definitely discussed it.
Briefly talked about it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that's going to be a big thing for you. How are you guys going to be able to do that when you move away?
We're going to put it on pause for a while.
Okay.
That's my first merch design.
Okay. Who's that?
So my friend Lisbeth, she modeled, and then I kind of photoshopped it into looking like a comic book character.
Okay. Fair enough. I'd wear some Bad Ideas merch. You know that.
What I was thinking is like we should try to run it like almost like a merch business rather than a band, because like, did you know the Ramones and the Misfits have sold more shirts than records?
But that's the Ramones and the Misfits.
But
you got to build it. You got to build up to it.
You don't necessarily have to though, because if they're selling more shirts than records, that means there's people buying their shit that don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
So if you can design a killer merch design, that's almost a better moneymaker than designing a great album.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, merch is very important with bands, because in 20 years when your band's popping off and successful and you're millionaires, you're gonna have these you're gonna have all these hipsters wanting to wear your clothes.
Don't worry, I won't forget the little people
like me.
Yeah.
Oh well,
you're a bit of a big person.
Yes. Well, I am your podcast co-host, and we'll probably be doing this for the next
100 years.
100 years.
I won't forget you because it'll be impossible. You'll be next to me.
Of course.
What an interesting show dynamic that'll be. That'll be a fascinating dynamic, I think, to have like when we're both still doing the show in the future and we're both still filmmakers and we're coming at filmmaking from like I'm in the industry and you're like an outsider artist. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
You know?
What are you trying to say?
Well, you've said before that you don't want to do industry projects. So
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I've always been like against the system, if you will. And I don't see myself really ever working too closely with one of the major companies. Like obviously if the opportunity arose, I would take it, but
right. You know.
It's one of those things like if I have the option to go not do that, that'd be, you know, that'd be a good choice. I'd rather just be making documentaries on my own.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's what I enjoy.
Definitely.
I'm
There's
not one.
nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I know you said I have a feature in me one day of a narrative.
I
But
think, well, you said that too.
no, you said it and I agreed.
Heard.
So,
Okay. Copy.
you know, maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
It would be nice, but so it's pretty low amount of what do you call it? Of content today.
Yeah, there's not a lot that's happened.
Well, we had a whole different plan in mind. We had a guest plan, but unfortunately we are having technical difficulties with that. So
Yeah,
we'll get
okay.
him on at a later date, but would you like to just stop at an hour for today?
Stanton strikeout, Odor strikeout, Sanchez strikeout, leadoff double goes to waste. Classic Yankees.
Yes. They did have a nice win yesterday. They came back in the 8th inning and the one against your Sox.
And then I was really, really hoping for Chapman to blow the game because it looked like he was going to.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're pretty much at 500 since they started the All-Star break, so they're not gaining any ground on your Red Sox. Not that they will, but they're dumpster fire.
The Red Sox are the future World Series champions. I might as well get the tattoo now.
That's your opinion, but like the guy who got the Chicago Cubs he got the Indians 2016 World Champions on him.
Oh yeah. Quarterback Deshaun Watson will report to the Texans today to avoid being fined $50,000 per day during their training camp. Watson's trade request remains in effect, with source saying that nothing has changed in that regard. Two things on this. Number one, yet again, I am right.
What did you say? I don't remember.
Remember when he said, I'll never play for the Texans again? And I said, we'll see you in training camp.
Here he is.
Here he is.
Yeah. And then he's just going to be like, you know what? I'll train a little bit. I'll start playing.
Yep. Number two, how is this guy not suspended? Aren't there like 30 sexual assault allegations against him or something crazy like that?
Yeah.
You would think that the NFL would have learned its lesson from the Ray Rice fiasco, but yet again, as we've discussed here on Joe's show, all over the place, the NFL continues to drop the ball.
As they usually do. And also Trevor Bauer he went to court yesterday. They actually extended his the restraining order against him. Apparently he wanted to get rid of it because he apparently thinks there's no reason to have a restraining order. But
interesting take.
But they apparently said his lawyer said they didn't have enough information. They didn't have enough time to prepare for the witnesses that they were going to bring forward. So they're going to extend it until I think the first week of August.
Okay.
But you can tell he might be sweating a little bit because he's been completely silent since like June.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. Has there ever been another time where somebody won the Cy Young and was like on top of the world and got his big contract and that it was all gone like this quick? Like he might never play in the Major League Baseball again.
He might not. I mean, it's happened later in careers where people like John Wetland, he came out as a sexual assault person. He was a pedophile or whatever, but much later in his life.
Right.
I see that happening where people's legacies are destroyed, like with players like obviously Roberto Alomar a few months ago. That was one case.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think I've ever seen it where it's happened like
in real time.
Like Michael Vick kind of recovered.
But Michael Vick wasn't like sexually assaulting women.
Well, it's really bad.
It is really bad. But Michael Vick also went to prison and came back out and reformed himself. Like the comparison for Trevor Bauer, I guess it would be if he goes to prison and then comes out and becomes like a anti-sexual assault spokesman.
Yeah.
And is like working with charities for like victims.
I mean, if it's in good taste, I mean, if he's just doing it for the clout, that's a different story in itself. But
Yeah, and you can never tell of Trevor Bauer if he's doing something for the clout.
yeah, it's
so.
it's hard because he is a difficult character study. I could say also Mike Tyson might be on that list because he was on top and then he went to jail for that alleged incident.
Yeah,
I
Ben
mean,
Roethlisberger.
somehow he's still gotten over that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of disgusting.
Well, it's so fascinating how people react to stuff like this because I have a friend who's a huge Steeler fan, and we'll make like jokes about the Big Ben incident, and he'll be like, "The woman said she was lying."
Did she say she was lying?
I don't know, but in his mind, that's what
The thing we have to look at is people.
But like my point is like he's such a Steeler fan
Yeah.
that like in his mind he's convinced himself that is the.
That's what
I don't know if it is the truth or not. So I don't want to make him sound like he's crazy. I don't want to make him sound like he's like off the rails or whatever. But in his mind, he likes this guy so much and has so much respect for this guy that he can't see it. It's like a mental blockage, and I think that's probably pretty common in sports. And I'm not saying that's inherently wrong. I think that's just how human beings are. You know what I mean? Like you could argue it's wrong. You could argue it's like damaging to the woman or whatever it is, but maybe he is right.
Yeah.
It's if it helps him get through and make sense out of it in his brain, then isn't that okay in some way?
It depends on the situation. I think the Ben Roethlisberger situation is very troubling because it's kind of just been ignored.
But we also just don't know. It's not like the Bill Cosby situation,
where
for
it's
example,
that obvious.
Everything is obvious. Like we just don't know what happened with Roethlisberger.
I mean, everybody has their own ways of dealing with it. I mean, I think you need to just look at the situation and make your own judgment. That's your right.
Definitely.
There are more severe situations than others. Like I'm getting to the point now where I'm probably okay with listening to Louis' comedy again. I mean, I know you've always been a pretty strong supporter of his. I know.
I just don't think what he did compares at all to like what Cosby did or what Weinstein did.
I think that he's gotten to the point where he's atoned for his sins. Let the guy move on.
And I also completely understand people who can't go back to him yet, and people who are just going back to him now, like you. Like I completely get that. I feel that it's down for everybody individually to decide what they have to do and what time is right for them to go back or if they're going to go back. So I don't want to cast aspersions on it. Same thing with my friend who's the Steeler fan. I don't want to cast aspersions on anybody because everybody has a different threshold for what they can handle.
Yeah, like he's a little more of less of a gray area for me. I mean, these don't impact me, but the gray area I always see is Michael Jackson and Kobe.
Right.
Those are always the two that are kind of in that really weird gray area because there's never been direct confirmation. You're just kind of taking out of the word of each person. You know what I mean?
And there's so few like Kobe, it's one accuser.
Yeah.
Who had admittedly, it's I want to believe people when they say stuff because I don't feel like most people who come out of the woodwork to say things like that are lying. But we have to acknowledge in the Kobe situation, there was a potential monetary gain for you to make a false allegation.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. Michael Jackson is a similar kind of thing where it's a couple of accusers. We just don't know what happened. Over the years, it became more and more apparent that it could be true.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, Michael Jackson's a little more believable. I mean, it's not like the Kobe situation. You can't believe anything. You're just going off
on this. You can believe anything from any of it, right? But on the scale of how believable it is, if like Bill Cosby is up here, then Kobe would be like down here.
Yeah.
And Michael Jackson would be here. And then Louis would be here. And we'll Louis admitted to it.
Yeah.
So we'll take him off. And then so Kobe, Michael Jackson, Cosby, Weinstein, Woody Allen, up there.
And sometimes in situations like this, on the less severe side of things, like sometimes people need to experience this type of emotional embarrassment to realize that they're doing something wrong.
Right. Even if they're not doing something criminal.
If they're doing something criminal,
something...
that's their problem. They have to deal with that.
But if they're doing something criminal, it's different. But if they're doing something that's not criminal but is morally wrong, then something like this is important to like kind of get a reality check on that's what I think is kind of happening with the Trevor Bauer situation. Because from what I understand from like the court documents and stuff like this, it doesn't look like anything illegal happened. And it doesn't look like the woman is really trying to press charges. It looks like
well, like we said 1 week, we talked about it. Like she doesn't seem like she wants to ruin his life. She just wants him to get help.
Yeah. So,
but Trevor Bauer, he's not going to take that. He's
right.
But
I think
he's kind of digging his own grave in that respect.
But I don't know. Maybe part of his radio silence is he's doing a lot of self-reflection.
Maybe. I hope he would. I really do.
Maybe this is his way of kind of realizing that, hey, I might not have been committing a crime, but there are some demons in my head that I have to get out.
If everything that she is saying is actually true, he may have committed a crime. Because if he had been assaulting her while she was sleeping, how can she consent to that? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's less of a gray area for me. I mean, I hope for what it's worth that the both of them are able to work it out and they can.
What it sounds like to me, and obviously I haven't read everything.
Yeah.
I haven't heard everything. I'm not in the situation. What it sounds like to me is that this is a guy who's into rough sex. And he's into rough sex for some kind of deep-rooted psychological reason that he hasn't dealt with yet. And that she is kind of trying to get him to deal with that rather than, it's like, I don't want you to not play baseball anymore. I don't want you to be a great pitcher anymore, but I want you to handle your demons so that.
I think that's respectable.
I do too.
It's not often you see that, but it's he should feel, I mean, if he is actually guilty of it, he should feel lucky that he didn't end up with somebody who's, going to do much more than that,
And we're not kink shaming either. If you're into rough sex, that's totally fine. But if you're into rough sex,
but it's got to be consensual,
right? It's got to be consensual. But also, if you're into it for a fucked up reason, like it sounds like he is, then you might want to deal with that.
On the surface, it appears that way.
Yes, you might want to deal with it and learn why, rather than just simply engaging in it time and time again.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to leave it.
Is that Michael Stipe's name on that American movie?
Yeah, Michael Stipe produced.
Michael Stipe from REM was involved in this production.
He produced American movie. Yes.
How did he end up on this project?
I don't know. We should get him on the show and ask him.
We should, man. I love REM.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I shared air with him once at one of the Bernie rallies. I didn't get inside, and he came outside and talked to everybody. So
follow me, don't follow me. Got my spine, I got my orange crush.
But yes, he did. He did produce that movie.
Cool.
One of the best, one of my favorites, of course.
They did the music for Man on the Moon starring Jim Carrey.
Man on the Moon being the what's his name?
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, the Andy Kaufman vehicle.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
People think their TV is broken.
But fun times.
Yeah, definitely.
Believe women, kids.
Believe them.
Believe them.
They have no reason to lie.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
99% of the time.
That's one thing you have to really take into consideration that most every time that somebody does this, it's probably for a good reason. There is that rare occasion, but then that's up to.
Right. Everybody loves to point to the Brian Banks story, and yes, it is horrible, but how many stories are not Brian? There's one Brian Banks. There's a million Bill Cosbys.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Makes sense?
But
I think that's a good place to end it.
Yes, I think it is.
You can follow the show at Chai Programming.
CHI Programming.
CHI Programming. You can follow me.
Where can you follow that page?
On Instagram.
That's Twitter.
And that's right. Children's Programming on Instagram. CHI Programming on Twitter.
There you go.
You can follow Matt Dixon over here, Matthew Bartholomew Dixon at Blu Zodiac Pictures, BLU Zodiac Pictures on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
You can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Nick Paradies. I'm a public figure now.
Are you? Are you verified?
No,
Oh,
not verified
someday.
yet. Not verified yet.
To be continued.
You can follow my band at the_bad_ideas_ on Instagram. My band with the roomie Bryce. You can follow my my updates on that. Music coming soon, merch coming soon. I will, as soon as I am allowed to, I will be posting updates on the play that I am starring in.
Ooh,
and
an acting role.
Yes. And you can follow all of that on my social media pages. So get on it, motherfuckers.
Yes.
I want to see you there.
Thank you everybody for watching this time, and everybody who's listening, because sometimes people don't want to watch, but they don't have. They have the option now. They can choose.
Exactly.
So
beautiful stuff.
If anybody's watching our highlights on Twitter and all that fun stuff, or Instagram, that'll be a good time. And we'll see you next week.
Peace out, Cub Scout.